All right. It is Hey Mando, the show on the Merc with Movie Blog podcast feed where we talk about The Mandalorian. We are in season 2 right now, getting close to the end. Another year, another season of Hey Mando is almost over, guys. I am your host, Shawn. I'm joined as always by my fellow hosts, Wade. Hey, Wade.
Doing good, man.
All right. You doing okay in there? What's going on?
We lost Dean.
We lost him.
I'm fighting the
resistance.
Yes, we need to bring the Empire back, but even better, more Sith Lords. Throw out the rule of 2. Let's make this thing evil.
No more Moffs, only Sith.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah. We are normally joined by Dean, and he was here, but then he froze during the intro, and then he disconnected. So we have lost Dean.
I'm sure he'll be back. He said, "Don't worry, one moment. Sorry."
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah. Because we need to get his thoughts on last week's episode. Which while he's doing that, I will amend real quick that upon the 4th and 5th viewing of last week's episode, the only issues that I have, which are my issues, is that Rosario Dawson took me out of the show.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's my issue because of how I perceive her and the roles I recognize her from. But once I watched it more and thought about it more, dude, there was a lot of stuff that we found out in there that I did absolutely love. I still just think if Ashley Eckstein would have been in the role, then I probably would have just loved it, maybe.
I'm pretty much right there with you. I'm waiting for some explanation on Grogu because I still don't think that a whole lot of his background makes sense. But I'm cool with the name Grogu now. All it took was this episode. This episode got me back on board. I didn't like the name last week, but this week I'm like, all right, his fucking name's Grogu,
okay,
whatever.
You just convinced me. I just changed my mind on something we were talking about right before we started. How, I was like, I'm not going to stop calling him Baby Yoda. And then I told you what our friend Sarah from here at Merc with the Movie Blog calls him. And she calls him this because of after finding out his name. But you know what? He does have a name now. So it would be a little bit wrong to call him Baby Yoda. So I'm going to call him what Sarah calls him. I will never take credit for it, but I'm stealing it. Baby Gogurt. Is the best. I love him. So adorable. And I think I love him even more after this episode.
I do really like the name Baby Gogurt. I think if we can get that going around online, I think that's a good nickname for him. We can call him Baby Gogurt. We're hoping to get Dean back in here so that we can talk a little bit about last episode before we get into this episode. I don't want to jump directly in, but I can hit us with a couple things first of all, which is when we get into the episode, we are going to be talking spoilers the entire time like we have been the last couple episodes. There's really no way around it. As we get into the latter half of the season, it's getting harder and harder to talk about anything that's not a spoiler. So definitely be prepared for that. I don't know. I don't really have anything else that's not this episode or last episode.
Well, hey man, the show must go on, and we can get a really quick recap from him when he gets in, huh?
Okay, so let's go ahead and start on this episode. Again, we're gonna have spoilers in here. We'll try to not dive too deep into it until hopefully we can get Dean back. But for now, Wade, what'd you think of the episode?
Dude, this is hands down my favorite episode so far. I woke up this morning, but within 5 minutes of my feet hitting the floor, I had this episode started. And 5 minutes after it ended, I started my second rewatch of it.
So good.
And I've watched it 3 times so far, and I guarantee you I will watch it a 4th time tonight. And I'm going to watch it at least one more time this weekend. Hands down, this is my favorite episode of both seasons so far. It was every time I think that they can't wow me anymore, this just was above and beyond anything I could have ever imagined or expect, any expectations I could have had.
Well, it was like, how do I put this? We've gotten a lot of side quest. over the last 2 seasons, right? This show, the kind of way that it works is, for the most part, we always have side quests, and at the very end or somewhere in the episode, we'll get a little bit of information. They just unloaded in this episode. Like there's nothing side quest about this episode. All of it is completely relevant to the plot. Everything about it furthers the plot of what's happening in the series. It is the most plot heavy episode, and it has the most implications for the future of the series out of anything we've seen in seasons 1 and 2. And it goes to show that with this show, the runtime doesn't fucking matter.
It really doesn't. When it ended, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
But I mean, I can't complain about it, dude. Yeah. It was, and that's the reason I can't complain about the short run times for the absolute most part for this show is because we're not missing anything. Really, they're just trimming the fat. Is all they're doing. They're trimming all the little BS that doesn't really matter, and and they're not wasting a single second. And I just love it, man. I love it so very much.
Well, and this episode ended, like, without getting too far into it, it ended at the perfect spot. I mean, I don't think I'd have wanted. I was sitting actually watching this at like 3 a.m. because I
don't know how Fridays. You do that, man. I tried once, but I couldn't do it. I'm too old.
I don't normally work Fridays, so I don't know. I'll do something. I'll put on Netflix or something to keep me awake, and I'll play a video game for a couple hours. But it was 3 a.m. Put on the episode, and at the end, I was going, "Give me a little bit more. Give me a little bit more. Give me a little bit more." And then it cut to credits. I was literally saying that out loud to my TV, begging for just a little bit more in the middle. 3:30 in the morning, talking to myself, begging this show to just that it has its set runtime, right? It's not going to change. Yeah. It's not like it's going to be like, you ask, all right, here's like 2 minutes of the next episode. That's not going to happen, right? It was just me sitting there going, please, don't end. And it ended, but it ended in I think the perfect spot.
Yeah, it really did, man. It really did. Like I said, I can't complain at all. It would have been cool to see more, but there was no need for more. So I can't complain whatsoever.
Do we have an update on Dean?
No, we don't. So
okay,
let's just roll on, man.
All right. So
hopefully he can get back. If not, then it happens, man.
It happens.
Connections, and he's in England, so who knows what's happened in the future? But whatever has happened in about 5 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So first of all, the episode, all right, directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay.
Which I was concerned about because everyone assumed this was going to be a filler ep.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wrap my head around one, having Robert Rodriguez but not having him do action, and two, if he did action, how was it going to work in this episode, like the third to last episode? So good. Yes.
Written by Jon Favreau. Before we can talk about the title, because we're also going to talk about the title in a second. But first of all, Lucasfilm. I know you guys watch this show. I know you guys are big fans. I know Dave Filoni every Friday at 6:30 sits at his computer and puts on Hey Mando to see what Shawn and Wade thought about the show. You guys need to call Robert Rodriguez, whatever he wants to do. Just give it to him. If he says, I kind of want to make a show. This is a joke I made in the Discord. I don't know if you saw it, Wade, but if you want to make a show that's just like 3,000 years in the future, and it's about 2 droids that are prostitutes, just give it to him. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how crazy his pitch is. You give it to him. If he's like, I want to do the Old Republic, sure, do it, whatever. I want to do this. I thought it was incredible. His direction this episode. Ideally, I'd love to see him do something like a Boba Fett series.
Yeah.
Or even like watching the Stormtroopers, like if he did a show set during the original trilogy, that's like an action show, like a war show almost, right? Following like a squad, or do a live action Clone Wars show that's following a squad of clones during the Clone Wars. Like we kind of did that with Clone Wars. We followed the 501st.
If you're going to do that, I'd rather see him follow like Stormtroopers, based on, but like in the vein of Taika Waititi's take from season 1 of Sudeikis and the other one, like that. What's it like when they're not always in battle? Like, what's it like behind the scenes when they're just hanging out or they're in between, like waiting for something to do? That would be some good shit.
I'd love to see Taika do that show, but with Robert Rodriguez, I really want to see him do some action.
You're right.
Because, I want to see Band of Brothers,
hey,
but there we go. Santa's in the house, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, man, what's on the chimney? That was hard.
That was tough, man. You got down the chimney okay?
Yeah, all right, cool.
All right, we're gonna backpedal a little bit now, guys. We're gonna get back into this in a minute. But what I want to talk about right now was last episode, because Dean, you were not here last episode. So before Wade and I tell you what our thoughts were, because you didn't watch last week's Hey Mando, because you wanted to talk to us about it. What did you think of the episode? And be careful.
Yeah, sorry I wasn't here last week, guys. Can you believe these guys? They said I wasn't a big enough name. They tried to replace me. I didn't. I don't have the connection with the animated series or the books. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was fine. I mean, it was cool to see a Jedi, or not a Jedi, I guess. I loved all the Kurosawa stuff. Calling it the Jedi was a bit weird. I mean, I guess that people who don't know aren't going to think anything of it. Yeah. But then it kind of takes it away from what we're presumably setting up.
Wade's like, don't start him on it, please. I talked about this last week.
Wade is plural. Jedi is plural also. It's the plural for, like, they are the Jedi. So it could have been referring to the Jedi as in any Jedi, just the Jedi in general. But I'm not going to get on that radio.
We do know now that Grogu was a Jedi.
No, we do not know that.
He trained. He was a Jedi.
He trained at the Jedi Temple.
He might have been a Padawan, but he was still a Jedi. He wasn't a Jedi Knight, but
I've done the math. Done the math on this, right? And so Grogu would have been there like just before Order 66, right?
Yeah.
So and also on the math, Grogu could be Yoda's kid.
Possibly. I think that would be. I think that'd be a little weird.
It would be, but the math checks out. It could be Yoda. It could be Yoda and Yaddle's kid. Now, Yaddle leaves the Jedi Temple. I know this. I heard this just after Phantom Menace. Presumably, the real reason is because people thought it was stupid, and they're just like, no, don't put her in Attack of the Clones, because that movie's stupid. But so maybe Yaddle and Grogu. Because Yoda's like, look, shit's about to go down. You need to get out of here.
Yeah. This Anakin kid is gonna slaughter some people in the future. I can tell it. Yeah, I can tell.
Exactly. I told you that never go to school in Star Wars. I'm telling you.
No, no.
But yeah, I thought it was fine. Like I said, I loved all the samurai westerny stuff. I thought Michael Bihn's character was the weirdest thing ever.
I hated it. I hated it so much. I was not a fan.
He was just kind of standing there, just like.
I didn't like any of his delivery. I was.
It seemed to me like just like a little bit of like seasoning of like, here's some Tombstone for you, like some nostalgia.
You know what it seemed to me? It seemed like he was hanging around on set, and somebody was like, "Hey, you want to be in the episode?" And he was like, "I guess if you want me to be." And they're like, "Sure, why not?" Like it didn't work for me.
And I wasn't overly fond of Filoni's directing of the action. It felt very. It looked like an animation storyboard. The way the action was, like it'd just be like one shot of him, and then one shot of Ahsoka, and then like back and forth, like very basic kind of.
It didn't really have any energy.
No, exactly. I will say though, little behind the scenes. Normally, here's how it will go. I'll watch the episode, I'll write notes, then I'll watch it again without writing notes. And I went to sit down with that episode and write my notes. And it was all slow and moody. I was like, oh, cool. I went to start writing. that it was slow and moody, and then as I, and then boom, we got Ahsoka straight in. I was like, okay, put my phone down. Long story short, I didn't write any notes. Because there was a lot to, it was very story heavy, needed to be followed. But yeah, it was fine. I mean, I still would have preferred Ashley Eckstein, but I don't know if that necessarily would have made any difference, because it would have still been.
It would have.
Even though, because it still would have been Filoni directing her, and there's no way you were going to get that episode without Filoni. I think, which again, this is the thing of Star Wars and like the directors and the creators like getting too attached to things. We see that with like Lucas and Rian Johnson and stuff. I think the ideal version of that episode would have been a more seasoned director directing it with Ashley Eckstein. Would have been my ideal version.
Yeah,
I agree.
I liked it fine. Grogu got a name. It's Grogu, and I don't mind it. People like complaining about it. It's like, come on, man! Like, you run a list of these Star Wars names. It doesn't really stand out. It's fine.
I'm blocking Dean so I can't see him on screen.
So what's the thing? You guys don't like the name?
I wasn't a huge fan of the name. I've gotten over it, but I didn't. Well, because I first heard it and I was like, "That's the fucking best you got, Grogu." Which I get that it's difficult, but I heard the name and I laughed. So my experience watching the phone. Well, that's actually was my experience was watching the phone. Dean was the opposite of yours, where I started watching the episode and Ahsoka popped up and I went, "Oh no, I don't like the way she looks." And then she started to talk and I was like, "I don't like the way she sounds. I don't like this version of Ahsoka. Oh no!" And I was like panicking. And then eventually, about halfway through the episode, I was like, I picked up my phone because I do the exact opposite you do. I watch the episode first. I don't touch my phone. Then the second time around, that's when I take notes.
Yeah, I did it. I did it that way around for this episode. One last thing I'll say on this episode before we move on. So one of the weirdest things to me is that Ahsoka says, probably don't train him. I've seen what happens before when you train somebody with this kind of emotion in them. Obviously, we know she's talking about Vader. So that's pretty serious shit, right? So probably not the best to train him. However, if you do want to train him, take him to this place. Don't tell him where the fucking stone thing is. But obviously,
I think it was bullshit. I don't think she gave it. I think she just didn't want to take, because that doesn't track with me. Ahsoka going,
me neither.
Connection is bad.
Really turned it. She is a reason for turning it down.
Well, I think it's because she didn't want to take him from Mando. Because Ahsoka would not believe in the whole attachment is bad. Because she was trained by Anakin. She cared about Anakin.
Yeah, in a way, she was attached to Anakin.
Extreme. I mean, look at what happened in the end of Clone Wars. Sorry, Dean. Kind of spoilers.
Final episode.
But she was gonna join Maul. He was like, "Look, this bad shit's about to happen," and she's like, "You know what? I think you might be right." And then he goes, "All right, we got to kill Skywalker." And she went, "Actually, I'm gonna kill you now because you just threatened Anakin Skywalker, and that's a no-no." So it did not track with me in the episode for her to be like, he's too attached to you, I won't train him. I think she said that because she knows that the best place for him is with Mando.
I just kind of assume he has other things she needs to do, like finding.
I don't know.
She didn't need to lead him on that not wild goose chase, but she didn't need to lead him to the rock where, as we find out this week, things don't go.
I think it's some great Jedi bullshit. She's like, on the journey, they're gonna discover each other and realize they don't want to leave each other, or some bullshit like that. I don't know.
That's leaving a lot of things to fate. That she's playing.
What do you think the Jedi do constantly?
True.
Although she's not a Jedi.
She's got the knowledge of hindsight now. She saw what happened to Anakin, and he wasn't just a little bit bad. Billions of people were murdered. Billions of people. And this dude is a little Yoda. Come on now, Ahsoka. Come on.
I'm still really frustrated that she just played along when he was like, "You're a Jedi, right?" Like, my favorite Ahsoka scene is in Star Wars Rebels. She's about to fight Vader. She's like, I'm gonna avenge my master's death. And Vader goes, revenge isn't the Jedi way. And she goes, I am no Jedi. And then ignites both of the lightsabers and rushes Vader. And that is my favorite Ahsoka scene. I think it wraps up everything about her in a perfect tiny little bow. She's not a Jedi. When she was expelled from the Order, she left that life behind and she realized how fucked the organization was. So for her to show up in this episode and it be titled The Jedi, which obviously it could also be referring to Grogu.
I think that was her pushing them on even further to the Jedi. Here is how you can contact the Jedi, because I'm not one. So here is how you contact the Jedi, and hopefully one will reach out through the Force. That's how I take it.
I mean, if you just take the title as the title is just kind of implying that we're opening the world up to that side of stuff. But it does kind of, again, it's not a big deal if you're not knowledgeable with the stuff. But I don't watch the animated series. I haven't yet. I will be one of these people that go back and, because I was going to anyway. I'm hoping. I was trying to get my kid into Star Wars, and I was thinking maybe once we finish watching the movies, we'll do the animated series. But she fell off the movies. I can't get her back into it. We did Hope and Empire, and I can't really get her to finish out. So I'll end up just watching Clone Wars by myself at some point. But this certainly sped up the process. All right, very last thing about this. What about the Thrawn name drop? How are you feeling about that? Was that a little bit too much out of left field?
No.
I mean,
I would have found it odd if he was not mentioned.
But like they're clearly bringing him in to. I think that was the setup for the
Ahsoka spinoff.
So is the Ahsoka spinoff her looking for Ezra? And
I hope not. I hope not. Unless it's animated. That's all. Animated.
I would prefer animated.
I don't want to see, unless you recast right now with Ashley Eckstein. I don't. It was cool to see her in live action. I don't ever want to see Rosario Dawson headline a show as Ahsoka. If she pops up every so often in places as Ahsoka, I'll live with it. But I really don't want to see the Rebels storyline continued in live action. I'd be extremely disappointed if that happened.
Unfortunately, I think the fact that they cast Rosario Dawson pretty much guarantees that she's getting a series.
Yeah.
You wouldn't, if it was just for one episode or little appearances here and there, you would have just kept Ashley Eckstein. Let's face it, she's probably cheaper.
Yeah.
And you want Rosario Dawson. She's exactly the kind of level of actress that you would have headlining a show like this.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty much signed and ready to go.
I'll just have to live with it.
I'm down. I'll watch it. You know, I want to see. I like everything that I hear about Thrawn. So I'm down. I'm down for all of that stuff. It sounds great, and it'll fill in some of those gaps, maybe from between Rebels and this, and maybe beyond this as well. And you know, then there's chances for other kind of cool side characters from lore that wouldn't necessarily fit in Mando. Could fit in, you know. I've always, you know. So
Well, Wade and I talked about this, and I think we agreed on this that we think this episode takes place before the ending of Rebels.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
Yeah,
I'm guessing there's a time jump in the end of Rebels.
We just weren't sure how big of one it was, and I think it's bigger than we assumed.
Yeah,
because Ahsoka looks different at the end of Rebels than she does now. So I think she finds Thrawn in this episode, goes back to get Sabine, and is like, all right, let's fucking get this guy. Let's go. And that's what they're setting off to deal with at the end of Rebels.
With Ahsoka, the head tentacles, is that tentacles or is that hair? Like alien hair?
I think it's like part of her body.
Because it's shorter in this.
They did that because they said that they tried it long and it just didn't work with the stunt work.
Okay, because I haven't been able to get these horrible images out of my mind of what it's like to cut those things.
Yeah, that would be awful.
I was really hoping it was like just weird alien hair or like bone or something else. But if just slicing those tentacles off is really gross. But anyway,
yeah, and the one last thing I'll say is, I say I really hope it's not in live action. I think I said this to Wade last week as well. I'll fucking watch it. I mean,
Star Wars.
Yeah. I always I always bitch and groan, but I watched The Rise of Skywalker 6 times in theaters. So I'll always keep going. Anyways, let's actually talk about the episode now.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Wade.
I've been dying on the inside for like 15 fucking minutes, dude. I've been like, okay, this is cool, but like I want to talk about the shit that went down on this episode. It was awesome. I'm stoked. Sorry, I'm so excited.
No, you're good. Right before we get into it, first of all, Dean, I want
How dare you have opinions on last week's episode, sir?
And he watched The Rise of Skywalker 6 times. He can have as many opinions as he wants. He earned that shit.
No, I was talking to you.
Oh, okay. I didn't earn that shit. I watched it once.
Yeah, I saw it 6 times in theaters. I don't know why, but I did. I didn't like it, but anyways, Dean, before we go to break, I want to hear your thought on the episode, general thoughts on this episode, and then we'll take a break, and then when we come back, we'll dive straight into it.
This is probably one of the best episodes I think we've had. I would imagine that this episode, to a lot of people, is similar to what the last episode was to a lot of those fans.
Yeah.
Jay, you probably this like Boba Fett's your Ahsoka, right? You've been waiting for this character to come back, and weird analogy, but Robert Rodriguez has always been one of my favorite directors. Everyone's been saying the whole time, "Oh, he's just going to do a filler episode. It's not going to be important." And oh shit, was it the opposite?
Yeah.
He didn't go overboard with his style either, but it was definitely in there.
It felt like his episode. 100%. It was so different from anything we'd seen in the rest of the show.
It's probably the strongest directed episode out of. It's going to be in the top 3. It's just got a much more cinematic look to it, and it's not like overly massive with like anything that it's doing, but you can just tell that this is somebody who is very seasoned in what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, Rob Rodriguez probably made this whole thing in his basement. Like, he's that kind of guy. I watch a lot of his special features and stuff, and he really knows what he's doing. You can see it all on the screen. Did not think it looked cheap.
No.
Thought it looked
great. Get that. I don't get that. People were like, it looked cheap. It's like, it looked like it was shot on location. It didn't look like they were standing in a fucking back lot in, where do they fucking shoot? Burbank? Like, standing on a back lot in Burbank or fucking Atlanta, like, in front of a bunch of, like, it looked like they shot this out in the middle of the fucking, nature.
Are we getting to some weird, like, reverse uncanny valley thing where we're so used to seeing everything be like a digital background?
Yes, right.
That when we see a real background, it feels off. Almost like 60 frames a second or something.
I saw all that conversation about like, it looks weird. It's like, it doesn't. They didn't shoot it on a set. They didn't shoot it in front of a green screen. This is what it looks like when you shoot something on location. Like, I thought it looked incredible.
Yeah.
And I love the just the general scenery of this planet as well. It's not something we've seen really that I've seen that I can think of. The more mountainous, it
looked cool,
rocky and grassy, but not foresty. Or I liked that. Although I was expecting it to be a snow planet.
Yeah, and I was expecting something different.
I was expecting dreary, gray, maybe a little cold, some fog, kind of.
That's what we got last week.
Yeah. I was expecting a forested planet, lots of water. I showed some pictures to Wade of what it looked like in the old canon. Yeah. And I was expecting what it looked like in the old canon because it was in a video game. So I was expecting what it looked like in that.
I saw an image on Twitter that somebody posted from one of the comics.
Yeah, and one of the Afro
It
comics.
looked too snowy, and I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if it was if that was a canon comic or if that was an older one. I'm guessing it's a canon comic.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But first, we're going to go to break. You guys are going to hear about some other Merc with Movie blog shows. And when we get back, I'm going to bitch about Tython for 5 minutes.
Hi, everyone. This is Sarah, host of Go Get That Rose podcast, a podcast that is dedicated to talking about all things Bachelor Nation. Join Jay Wade, a man in his 40s who is recently new to all things Bachelor Nation, and myself, someone who has been watching passionately for the past 3 years, as we review, share our thoughts on each episode of whatever show is currently on TV, whether that is Bachelor, Bachelorette, or Bachelor in Paradise. We might not even know everyone's name, but we have fun nonetheless. You can find us on Merc with a Movie blog feed wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn. You guys might know me on this feed from co-hosting Beyond the Screen, but now here at Merc with the Movie blog, we have started a brand new show exclusively for video games called Game Over Screen. So join me every week with my co-hosts.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Brendan.
And I'm Tyler.
As we talk about everything video game related, and when we, I guess, get to the Game Over screen. I don't know, I don't have a good pun for that, but the joke is that we're going to die a lot in the game.
Well, you might.
Hey, Jay Wade here to tell you about SEN Afterlive, our SEN Live After Show, where we talk about, well, whatever Christian, Brett, and the rest of the crew talk about and the insanity that ensues. So join us each week here on the Merc with the Movie blog feed on your podcasting platforms, as well as YouTube now on the SEN Afterlive channel. Talk to you then.
All right. Check out all of those shows. They're all great. And let's get into the episode. We're going to pick up right where we left off on the conversation of Tython, because there's some stuff about it. That comic you're referencing, Dean, is canon. It is... People are theorizing that it was a different like region of Tython that they were seeing. That it's like, this is the Arctic region, and the region we went to in... this episode is the kind of hilly region, I guess, more mountainous.
Because normally the planets are just like one thing or another thing.
Yeah.
So it's different regions, or it's just different weather patterns, or something else I was thinking, is it some kind of like space global warming? Like maybe since
Oh my gosh.
It used to be an ice planet, but then once Alderaan was blown up, right? I'm no astrologist, but maybe there's now debris of Alderaan in the sun, and then now it's not. Maybe Alderaan was blocking the sun, and then it got blown up, and now it's a nice holiday planet.
The heat of Alderaan's explosion warmed Tython and melted all the snow.
It's not ridiculous. They could be in the same system. Do we know that?
I don't think so.
No.
That's
But now in my mind, that's
what happened. Yeah, that's really good. I'm really happy.
I love it.
Well, better now you just blow up a planet.
What kind of damage to the ecosystems of the galaxy did the First Order do when they blew up 5?
This is exactly what I'm saying. So we're going to see a whole load of like different climates after that.
They're gonna go back to Hoth after the sequels, and it's just gonna be a fucking desert planet.
Oh man, I can't wait.
So, yes. So the kind of ecosystem of the planet doesn't exactly line up with what we're shown, and something Fennec Shan says doesn't line up either. She says and I'm choosing to interpret what she says a certain way to make it make sense. But when Boba Fett is like, it's the Empire, she goes, that's impossible. The New Republic controls the Outer Rim. Tython's not in the Outer Rim. It is at the like dead center of the galaxy with Coruscant. It's in the deep core. Actually, I think it's even closer to the center of the galaxy than Coruscant. So I'm choosing to interpret that as her saying the New Republic has so much control that they even control the Outer Rims. Like, there's no way that the Empire would be this close to the center of the galaxy when there is a screen at the beginning of the episode where they're looking at a map where Mando's looking at the map of the galaxy, and there's the blinking light, and then there's another light that is towards the center of the galaxy, which I assume was the blinking light was them, and they were going to the light at the center of the galaxy, which would be Tython.
Another theory is that maybe she just doesn't know exactly what's going on where. Not everyone is fully up to date on the political landscape and their geography. Maybe she doesn't
know where the fuck she is.
Well, they just showed up there. Boba Fett's just like, jump in my ship, we're following now. She doesn't know. She's never been there before.
She's like, we're still in the Outer Rim, right? And he's like,
she still thought maybe in Kansas.
Yeah. I like that theory as well. She just didn't know where the fuck she was.
That's great.
She just doesn't follow the politics.
Yeah. But yeah, so there was a couple discrepancies between canon of the canon of Tython. It was still cool to see it. It didn't look exactly like what I expected of it, but I still liked the way it looked. And also, we're looking at several different ecosystems. So there might be a climate that I'm more used to for Tython, which is a more foresty, lots of water and waterfalls and rivers and shit. Very tranquil area. But as for the actual episode, okay, I wrote down a lot about it. First of all, the first thing I want to say is the opening is maybe my favorite opening of any of the episodes so far. Just him like, Grogu, and he goes, yeah, that's fucking right. I know his name. And then when he's like, come on, take it. And fucking Grogu uses the Force to take it to him, and he goes, dang, Ferric, he's so proud. And he's almost like when he's saying like, oh, I got to take you to Tython. You got to go with them if they want you to. He's almost exactly. Yeah. He's telling himself, he's like, I can't train you. Like he's not fucking telling Grogu this. I love it. I love it
he's
so
talking
much.
Himself
into when he said that, if a Jedi reaches out to you, you have to agree to go with them. Understand? It looked to me like he kind of shrugged a little bit, like, I'm gonna do what I want.
Yeah.
Baby Cartman
you want to learn that Jedi stuff, don't you?
Yeah.
That was a great line, Jedi stuff. Yeah. While we're on this scene, before we move on quickly, as a parent, this is some really shitty parenting going on in this scene.
Yeah.
If you tell a kid they're not allowed to have something, do not let them have it, because otherwise, as soon as you let them have one thing that they're told they're not allowed, they immediately would assume that now anything they've ever been told they're not allowed, they're now allowed. He's taking it off of him, saying you can't have it, then giving it back, then taking it off.
Yeah.
Force powers aside, they're just going to mess this kid up. That's all I wanted to say. So, and it makes sense because he's not a parent, so he is kind of just winging it. But it was great. It felt real though.
Yes.
Warts and all. He was proud. He was, worried about having to give up the kid, and it was all in there. They did a lot in that brief thing because this episode moves along so well. There's so much going on. It's only 32 minutes, I think.
And I really like that when he goes dang Ferric and he's so excited, he then goes, I'm not mad at you. Like I really enjoyed that.
Like he genuinely has feelings of affection and cares for his kid. It's cool.
I think it's so good. I would have never expected going into the Mandalorian, that this is what this show was going to be, and I'm so happy that it is. So we get to Tython, and we have the magic rock, as Mando calls it. You got to sit on the magic rock. Definitely not what I was expecting when we were going to Tython, was this weird kind of fucking
Stonehenge
thing with a rock at the center. One thing, I promise I'm going to try not to talk about Ben Solo that much this episode, but the blue butterflies. I don't know if you noticed that, but I immediately noticed it because I know about the blue butterflies. The blue butterflies have shown up a bunch in canon recently. Not just to do with Ben Solo, but in a particular, there's like a kids series on YouTube called Star Wars Rollouts. And there's an entire 3-episode thing, right? It's only like 10 minutes in total, but still, like, of maybe even less than that. But of Ben Solo, like, going on this adventure as a baby with a bunch of blue butterflies. And the blue butterflies have shown up a bunch in canon recently. It seems to me that they represent the light side, kind of. They showed up to Vader in his comic run at some point when he was struggling with the dark side and the light side, and the blue butterflies showed up as like a manifestation of the light side of the Force. So I immediately picked out the blue butterflies because they've been showing up a lot all over Star Wars recently in like some of the more high concept ideas of like the Force and manifestations of other beings and shit. So I immediately saw the blue butterflies and I was like, that's deliberate. And I'm curious as to what that means.
I actually picked up on the blue butterflies, but for a different reason completely. Okay. I took the difference from what we took away from the blue butterflies is amazing, because he sits him on the rock and he's like, right, look out, feel your destiny, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then the kid's just like, ooh, butterfly. Like, he's just a kid, man. He just wants to eat shit and hang out and sit there and play and eat shit. And it's just like, at what point are we kind of just like forcing him to sit on, sit on this rock? And like it seems once he sat on the rock, he's locked into whatever's going on with it. With the force field, Mando tries like 3 times to get through the force field.
I don't know what the fuck that was.
So there's no precedent for this rock thing in canon. We've never seen this before.
I've never seen that before. That was fucking weird. I don't know what. I've never seen somebody reach out to somebody else in the Force by putting up a blue force field and shooting a beam into the sky. So I have no idea what the fuck. That was crazy. There's got to have been something more going on there. But what you're saying. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I just assumed it's kind of like just like an amplifier that kind of just amplifies his force energy.
That would make sense.
And projects it into the space, into sky, so that somebody else can feel it. I mean, maybe they literally see the blue beam come out of the planet.
Imagine Luke is flying through the galaxy in the Millennium Falcon. He looks out like on the right, and he's like, "Han, we got to go that way." There's just a beam of light flying through the galaxy.
Jeez.
Yeah. You never know.
But I you're right, like about the Baby Yoda thing. I think that I'm like a fucking conspiracy theorist with the Force. I think the blue butterflies showing up means something on their end. But Baby Yoda definitely the intent there was for him to be like, I don't fucking care. What are these things? I'm gonna play with them. But I do think that there's some significance to them. But like maybe we'll never fucking know what it is. Maybe it's just something Dave Filoni's sprinkling throughout Star Wars, going, "This is for me."
But I tell you who does see the blue beam, because they come in right afterwards.
Yeah.
And holy shit!
It didn't happen like I said, but we saw Slave One coming in, and I was like, "Yes!"
Yep.
My neighbors must have heard me, man.
I was giggling.
Disbelief. I just didn't, we talked about it. You should assume it was going to happen, but I didn't assume it to happen now. I was like, why are they just showing up here?
And my
Right.
first thought was, oh shit, dude, he wants his armor back. It
Yeah.
has to be, dude. He
Yeah,
wants
of course he wants the armor back, but I don't know, the way they kind of set him up in the little bit that we saw of him in the other episode was kind of like he was just like hermit on Tatooine. Like there was no, I just felt like he was just staying there. It just felt to me that was the vibe. So I wasn't like, oh, he's been like got his ship up and running. He's been flying around the galaxy, going all over the place this whole time. Like that seems like we definitely would have heard about him at some point.
I don't think he's been all over the place. I think he's been on Tatooine. I think that's the first time he's flown Slave One since
I think so too, yeah.
Return of the Jedi 5
Either
years
way.
ago.
Likely he was saved by the Sand People and nursed back to health and taken in by them and has been living with them while he's been trying to figure out how to get his armor back. But he was such a badass in this episode. How could he not get his armor back? I don't understand that.
I don't think he wanted to cause a scene.
Yeah, it seemed like he could have easily have taken that armor back at any point. And I wish that he had, because I love the first episode. It's definitely one of the better ones. However, after seeing this episode, I kind of wish that we didn't get the Boba Fett armor appearing in the first episode, because seeing it for the first time here with Boba Fett actually wearing it, can you imagine if you didn't know that? Yeah, you know, if you hadn't seen, because we've already seen Mando and Boba Fett basically fighting together, so I just felt like a repeat until once they started getting into it a bit more, and he starts doing all this different shit with the armor that we didn't see Cobb Vanth doing. He had like these knee things and these little projectile things and like wrist blasters and other stuff. So as it went on, I got over that, but I couldn't help but think, man, how cool would it have been if we saw that for the first time this episode?
That would have been cool. I love Cobb Vanth too much to
I
give
love
him
it
up.
as well, yeah.
You know, so
and I don't know how else you would have worked the story to get them to this point, but it does seem like a big glaring hole that he would have got the armor off of, because like Cobb Vanth was a bit of, you know, he's all right,
good, but he's not
Cobb. I mean, what he's doing in this episode with that weapon.
Yeah.
When you see the weapon, I was like, that looks like a really random, pointless thing to be carrying around. I wonder what kind of, you know. And apparently, it's a stormtrooper like cracker opener. Because
that thing is awesome.
Jesus,
holy shit!
Smashing. And that one, it cuts to the one dude lying on the floor, and he's just half the stormtrooper helmet. He just smashed in.
His fucking leg is like in the wrong direction on the ground. Like he is. Okay, Wade.
Yes.
Am I a Boba Fett fan?
No.
Okay, here's what I want to tell you guys about this episode. Call Robert Rodriguez, get him to do 8 episodes of Boba Fett right now. Like, I'm not a Boba Fett fan before this episode. Holy shit, I'm a Boba Fett fan. He was so good too. I was kind of worried about him. I'm not gonna lie, because he's good in Attack of the Clones as Jango, but also nobody in the prequels is great. You know, they're all working with some stuff, I will say. So I was a little worried about him going into this episode. I was like, is he gonna be good? Is he gonna be how much of him in Attack of the Clones was him, and how much of it was George Lucas's writing and direction? And holy shit, I thought he was great in this episode. Every line.
I think like the first line or two, the way he started kind of speaking, I was thinking, oh, is this gonna? But then he the way like the cadence and the way that he was speaking, it was consistent throughout, so it wasn't an issue. But I thought it might have been at first.
I was hooked on every word he said. Like when he comes out and he goes fucking. I was like punching the air, and I didn't realize I was gonna have this kind of reaction when he's like, I'm just a simple man in the galaxy. I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the galaxy, like my father before me. I was like, fuck yeah, Boba Fett.
And I'll throw this up here real quick. It was just, it was great to see him in action, man.
Yes, I totally
And
forgot
I
we
love
have
how, I
images.
mean, naturally, over the years, you're going to put on weight, right?
Yeah.
I love that, like, they made it realistic where it's not like it just magically fits him.
No.
But I do hope that they adjust it a little bit for the next episode and on, so that it does fit him properly now.
Yeah. Get rid of the skirt that he's wearing,
No. I actually dig. I
like the
love
skirt?
that shit.
Okay.
I love that, dude.
Okay.
That's awesome. I think that looks dope as fuck, man.
I guess
mind it.
I didn't really. It didn't like bother me, but I want to see him. I want to see him in Boba Fett gear, not in other gear with Boba Fett on top, because that's what he kind of is in. Like,
but I mean, it is a long time later, and a lot of stuff has happened. You know, time changes.
Yeah.
And I mean, dude, it would. I don't know. I loved it. I want it to stay the way it is.
I loved it. I think it makes sense because he's literally in the middle of a battlefield and he just runs in really quick, puts on the armor, and gets back to work. Yeah. I want to see what he looks like when it's not putting on the armor in 10 seconds so that you can go fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if like the outfit continues to stay kind of the same. Like, we still here. I'm gonna throw up this image because you can see him a little bit better. We still have, like, for the most part, the same outfit, but just maybe a little more put together is all.
I like the kilt look, man. I love it. I don't want pants.
I guess I want to bring up Slave One because I fucking lost my shit when it came in. It looks so good, dude. Slave One. Yeah, it looks incredible. So
I mean, I was waiting for that seismic charge though. I got.
We're gonna have to see it.
Sure. We probably will. But
we've got him for a while.
Hoping. Yeah, I mean, we kind of like we're basically in ensemble show for the next 2 episodes, right? Because they're around, and I love
her coming back.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm a little like when they're like, we need a prisoner. I'm like, all right, who are we getting? Who's it gonna be? And they're like, Mayfield, and I went, oh, okay, I get. I'm like, you know what? Boba Fett's here. Fennec Shawn is back. I don't care, man. Bill Burr can't ruin it for me.
But I don't mind that he's teaming up with Bill Burr, but it's like, really, you've just seen what Boba Fett's done. You know, Ming-Na Wen is can't remember the character's name, but Ming-Na Wen is no slouch.
Yeah, no, Fennec Shand kicked some fucking ass in this episode.
We just got messed up by a Star Destroyer. I know it's not, is it a Star Destroyer? It's basically a Star Destroyer.
I think it's I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's a different
cruiser thing, right?
Yeah.
So we just got blown up by an Imperial cruiser. Now we've got to go into the belly of the beast of the remnants of the Empire to rescue a Force-sensitive child from a lunatic with Death Troopers and a Darksaber. And really, Bill Burr's the thing that's going to turn the tide your way.
Well, he said that he needs his expertise to track down the ship.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is a reason, and he was a sharpshooter. So I mean, he does have value. Aside from needing him to track the ship, I mean, he is an asset, dude. He was a bad motherfucker.
No, I'm not saying he's not, but you know, when you've got Boba Fett and Mando, and bearing in mind he's now friends with Ahsoka, you got to assume that are we going to bring Ahsoka in for this?
I don't think so.
I don't think we're going to see Ahsoka again until her own show.
I have a theory.
Yeah.
You don't think if they're going to get the kid back that you would want Ahsoka to help you out?
I don't, even if they wanted to, I don't think they can find her. Dude,
I think she's gone.
Trying to find Thrawn, dude. Yeah. She has a mission right now. And it's nothing personal against anybody else, but like she is on a mission, just like the Mando is on a mission, and he can help out other people here or there, but he can't just abandon his mission to take up a new one. I think Ahsoka's in the same spot, and that was kind of a crossover there where they both have an end goal and they needed each other's help. And I think that was it from her.
They've got to address it though, right?
Before we get too far into what's coming next, I want to stay on this episode a little bit longer.
Because I have something big.
There's other stuff I want to talk about. First of all, the action sequences, I think, is the best action in like Star Wars, the best shootouts. I love the idea of the entire fight it's such a simple fight, but there's so much to it. It's just the stormtroopers are trying to get up a hill and they're trying to keep them from getting up the hill. That is like, And this is what makes
Painful.
Robert Rodriguez. Yeah, and this is what makes Robert Rodriguez such a fucking good director. It's not a big, like, we're going to go here and then we're going to go there and we're going to be going this way and we're going to be going all over. It is a hill that one side is trying to get up and one side is trying to keep them from getting up. And it is the most intense and most engaging action we've seen in Star Wars in a long time.
Yeah, he makes it more visually interesting than you think it would be. But at the same time, it's not like, you know.
No, it's not a super complicated fight.
It's not. Yeah, you keep track of who's going up and who's going down and everything like that. But there's still a lot of flair in there. He's so good. He is so good.
Go ahead.
There's the one shot that I like of Ming-Na when, again, I forget the name already, where she does the El Moriarty move. She jumps over backwards, turns around.
I was just about to bring that shot up. I love it
and
so
the
much.
boulder pushing, kicking that. And she didn't just push it down. It took, you know, a lot of struggle and stuff. I mean, and just on her as well, the bionic belly.
Yeah, that was cool. I liked that. I guess I love when she does the fucking jump off backwards and then she lands. She does like a backwards roll and then shoots like 6 dudes. Like just fucking spinning around, unloading into people. It's so, so cool. I love that we saw a Stormtrooper with orange on his armor. It was such a little thing, but I loved in Clone Wars whenever.
Dude, right?
Yeah, he was like a mortar dude. Whenever they show like, okay, this trooper has a little bit of color on them that indicates something. So I really was like, oh shit, cool. This guy's got a little bit of orange on him.
And I'm a fan of the what's the other dude with the brown shoulder?
Yeah, the kind of like captain or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, flanker, but sir, flanker stands up, boom. I guess.
Yeah.
I love
just the way they were talking to each other with the stormtroopers. Like, one of them called the other one an idiot.
Yeah.
The voices were just straight out of A New Hope on this, but it didn't feel, you know, derivative. It just felt like, you know, that's what they're like. They are just like grunts. Yeah.
I love the one dude that has to jump to make it onto the shuttle as they're leaving.
Yeah,
he's like, wait, don't leave me with them. And they're like, dude, we're getting the fuck out of here. You better make it. Like, we're not waiting.
Didn't end up mattering anyway.
No. But that was another thing. When he did that, what I really like is nice aim. I was aiming for the other one.
Like, I know that was. Which he was.
He's just super perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like, because we see him do. He's a badass, but it's not like he's completely perfect.
Right.
Which speaks to the way that like we're saying, how the costume looked kind of emphasizes that about him as well. You know, he's a little bit out of touch. He's a little bit out of shape, but him out of touch and out of shape is still better than most people at their best.
Baby Gogurt.
Sarah is in the chat. Baby Gogurt.
I love Baby Gogurt.
In the UK, it's Baby Gogurt. Just saying.
Baby Gogurt.
We say yogurt, not yogurt.
I want to talk about Jango Fett for a second
because we got some motherfucker. He's awesome.
It was cool hearing him talk about him and everything.
Yeah. Yes, and I really like the confirmation. Boba Fett is technically a Mandalorian.
Yes, he is.
Jango was a foundling, and what I really liked, what I really liked is they say I got the impression now. This is me, like my mind running. It's not like stated in the episode, but my thought now is that the reason that Jango asked for a completely like a normal clone that doesn't have the accelerated aging was to continue his clan,
right?
Because it seems to me that his clan is probably gone. If he was working by himself in Attack of the Clones, and they said he fought in the Mandalorian Civil Wars. I got the feeling his clan has probably been wiped out, and that was his way of like continuing the future of his clan was through Boba, and I like that.
Can they reproduce the clones? Is that addressed?
I'm sure they can. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to.
Make some babies in the Sarlacc pit, maybe. You know, you might have a little family there.
You think he has like a wife in the Sarlacc pit? Like while they were waiting there?
No. You know, like how Donkey in the Dragon in Shrek. He was in there a long time, man. They got to know each other.
Oh my gosh.
He was inside her.
Oh, that's funny.
Also, the markings on his head, is that scarring from the acid in the stomach?
That's what I assume.
It must be. He looks so badass, man. He looks so fucking cool.
Yeah, love it.
Wade, you've been sitting on the truth about Baby Yoda.
Yeah. Okay. The title of this episode was The Tragedy. So obviously you would think, something tragic is going to happen.
Yes.
Now, what I think the tragedy is, I don't think very many people have thought of, but this goes, and I'm going to reference the final scene of the episode here. First and foremost, when we see Baby Yoda throwing the stormtroopers around and beating them with the Force, he was enjoying that. That was fun for him. Okay, so here it is. The tragedy that the title referred to was seeing that, in my opinion, and I can't really back it up right now. That's just a thought that I have. The real tragedy is finding out that Baby Yoda was most likely trained by Palpatine in the ways of the dark side. Moff Gus, now he said something here. He said,
"You completely lost us."
Don't fucking interrupt me, young man.
At the same moment, you completely lost Dean and I. It was fucking hilarious. You're like, he was trained by Palpatine, and Dean and I go, we were on you. What? No, continue. Go on.
Oh gosh.
Are you done?
Yeah, go.
Son of a bitch. He was most likely trained by Palpatine. That's why we've never heard of him before. That's why, when we think of all the Jedi that were there being executed, how did he get away? Moff Gus had something. He said, "You're getting good at that." That to me means that he obviously had seen him do that before, or at least something similar to that. He has seen Baby Gogurt use the Force before. He knew that he got tired. He didn't do like a taunting like I just found out. And, you get tired from that, don't you? You get sleepy, don't you?
Dude, I loved him.
It was a statement. You get sleepy. Okay. So he had obviously known that Baby Yoda had used the Force before and all of this. And so, and we've seen dark tendencies in Baby Yoda from the beginning. So that's my theory there. But then there's a split side to this. This is going to end up being another story of a father and son, with one being pulled toward the dark and the other trying to pull them back to the light. This is going to end up being Baby Gogurt in his descent into the dark side, with the Mandalorian trying desperately to pull him back.
I agree.
That's it, man. That's it. And I will just say real quick that I think that Boba Fett will stay with the Mandalorian through next season. And then I do think that Luke will show up to help them get Baby Yoda. But I don't think that they'll be successful.
So
I think we get a Luke, or we've got to address the rock, and the signal was sent, right? Whatever it means. So you've got to assume that the last thing we see in the whole this season is going to be a ship landing on that planet, or a shadowy figure coming up to the rock, and it's going to have the hand or something.
I don't think so. Here's my theory. Well, maybe, but that's probably more likely than my theory. First of all, wait, I think you're 100% right. Baby Yoda's falling to the dark side. I'm going to bring up some more evidence.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody's
tragedy.
I don't know that.
That.
I don't know if anybody's picked up. I know people online have picked up on it. I don't know if you guys have picked up on this, but it was something that I was listening to it, and I realized this, and then I went back. Have either of you guys noticed that Baby Yoda's theme is almost identical to Ben Solo's?
No, I've not.
And I noticed it when he's throwing the stormtroopers around, because it sounded more like Kylo Ren's. It was like more intense than it has been in the past. It's like it's a higher version and it's a lighter version of the theme. It's closer to Ben's theme in The Rise of Skywalker, which you only hear like 2 or 3 times. But it's very close. And I kind of think they're going to do the opposite of what they did with Kylo Ren, which was we spent the 2 movies hearing dun 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 like, and then in Rise of Skywalker, when he was running down, we heard like a light version of it. You know, the good guy Ben Solo version of the Kylo Ren theme, pretty much. I think we're going to hear eventually the dark side version of Baby Yoda's theme, of Baby Gogurt. I don't think that we're going to see a ship. Well, we might see a ship land and like go up to the rock. But what I'm hoping happens,
it'd be an X-wing, right?
Maybe, but well, I'm hoping for somebody else. If it was Luke, yes,
it would be presumably it would be the X-wing. Has he got D2 with him at that time?
I don't know, but here's what I think is going to happen, right? Or here's what I'm hoping is going to happen. First of all, we're not getting Baby Yoda back this season. I don't think he's coming back. I think they're going to try to get him back, and they're going to fail. And I think the last part of the episode is going to be a Jedi coming up to the Mandalorian and being like, I've been following you. I know about the kid. Let's get to work. Like, I think, and my hope is that it's Cal Kestis from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, the video game that came out last year.
Would be really cool. He's a good fucking actor, man. I like him a lot.
Yes.
It wouldn't be my top choice, but the idea of a video game character, and I haven't played the game, but just the idea of that kind of cross-media thing, because it's already been mind-blowing to people like, oh, Ahsoka live action, you know, from the animated series. We've got Cobb Vanth from the books. Yeah. So this would be like the trifecta.
Yeah. I think Cameron Monaghan's a fucking fantastic actor. You don't need to recast that role. Because he's the dude who played him in the game.
Yeah, he played him in the game. Dude, he is so good.
He's a fantastic actor. You just call him. You say, hey, man, you want to play the character in live action? He'll go, fuck yes, I do. And you get him on set, and it'll be perfect. I don't think it's going to be Ahsoka, because I think Ahsoka's got bigger shit to deal with. I don't think it's going to be Luke, because I don't think they're going to recast Mark Hamill.
You don't think they're going to do the Sebastian Stan thing?
Not yet. Maybe down the line. And maybe they'll surprise me. I don't think they're going to recast Mark Hamill. I think that's a bigger deal than recasting Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka. I think the Jedi that makes the most sense to show up to me would be Cal Kestis, where it's an actor that you can just grab that played the character before, right? He's a fantastic actor. Yeah. You don't need to recast him. You don't need to explain away his appearance for some reason. Like, I saw people that was like, it's going to be Mace Windu. I'm like, what the no, fucking let him be dead.
I don't think he's dead, but this is not the way to reintroduce him.
Yeah.
I don't hate the idea of bringing Mace Windu back, but not in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. That would be great.
I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I'm hoping it's Cal Kestis. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be Luke. It's probably a good chance that it's Luke because it's a big character. But I think Cal Kestis really stole a lot of people's hearts with the game. I think people really loved that game. People really loved the character. It seems like they're doing another game. It seems like he's a character that's going to be around in the Star Wars canon. So I think that would be a great.
Where does the game take place? Is that pre original trilogy?
Pre A New Hope. In between 3 and 4. When does
he was a little bit older?
Yeah,
but not noticeably, really. I mean,
Fallen Order.
It doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah, so it would be a significant because they say that it was 5 years after
Return.
Yeah.
Well, they say that Fallen Order was 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, but also in the game he's like, how old is he?
Probably early 20s.
No, he's not even 20 yet. Because when when Order 66 happens, he's like 12 at the most. Like he's young when
Order in his mid-30s. He'd be about the age he is now.
Yeah, which Cameron Monaghan, he's
probably like
27. Yeah. 27.
Oh, still he could pull off somebody in their mid-30s. Yeah.
I think so.
Is always weird anyway, so that works out.
Grow a beard on him, like fucking to show that time has passed. You know, I think it would work perfectly. My hope is Cal Kestis. I don't know if that's just me being like, I'm a Star Wars nerd who plays the fucking video games and I want to see them in live action, or if it's like actually a possibility. But that's my hope is Cal Kestis.
I mean, does Goga ever leave this show and this character, or is he staying with? Because I'm finding it harder to imagine the show without him. But there is some cool, and it would feel very derivative if we like span off another show and then
I don't think
maybe
so.
just goes off with that character and that's like this character dealing with.
No.
But now that what you're saying with Kyle Kestis, how cool would it be if Baby Yoda went off with Kyle Kestis and then in the next game you've got Baby Yoda with you?
Oh, that'd be so cool if you had him on your fucking back in like a backpack. Oh, I'd love that.
You guys are too optimistic, man. I'm telling you, dude. I honestly think that he was, because we know that Palpatine liked to steal Force-sensitive babies and children.
He liked to fuck up relationships.
Think that Baby Gogurt was being trained by Palpatine and that to be like a future apprentice. And I don't think it's not going to end good for Gogurt. He's going to go to the dark side. It's not going to end good. Mando's not getting him back. Like I think that the days of seeing Mando and Gogurt together like we have so far, I think they're over.
Yeah.
For now, I think he's going to turn back. I think I do think he's going to fall to the dark side. I do think that's the story Dave Filoni is going to tell. I think that's why he's here. First of all, I think that's why he's been here since the beginning of season 1, is because they were going to tell a story of a father losing their son to the dark side and having to bring them back, because that's a very George Lucas story. And I think that's why they brought in Dave Filoni, because he is the apprentice of George Lucas.
Is it not too similar? Like everything's got to be about, bringing somebody back.
I'm hoping they fix it. They fucking end it well this time, and he brings him back.
I mean, yeah, they could do it well in the execution.
Rogue One was
on paper.
In a way.
That's what Star Wars is kind of about, though.
Yeah.
And I think when you have Dave Filoni on, when you have Dave Filoni involved, you're not going to do new Star Wars, if you get what I'm saying. You're not going to really change up the status quo of what Star Wars is, because that's not his thing.
Yeah.
That's not what he's in the business of doing.
Maybe after the last trilogy, maybe they want to kind of get back to just that basic, theme of Star
I would
Wars.
say that's the story of the last trilogy, or part of the story is of Kylo Ren and Han.
No, it's a dark.
It doesn't have a happy ending to it.
See, man, I'm still seeing Baby Yoda is not turning back to the light.
No, I think he's going
Mando is not getting him back, and I'm looking into the future, like even like say 5-6 years or whatever, doing another movie or a series of where it's past the time of the rise of the last Skywalker, and Baby
Rey Skywalker
Yoda,
has to fight Baby Yoda
by Palpatine, and is taking up this mantle and is the new powerful Sith that is trying to take over.
I am not on board with you on that.
I'm asking you to be on board.
No, I know, man. I know.
I'll run you over while it's on the gas, dude. I don't care if you jump on board or not.
I don't hate the idea, because obviously he ages differently, so it could, and by the time because if they ever do another trilogy with Daisy Ridley, that's going to be 30 years, like with the original trilogy to, this stuff. And I think eventually that will happen. And to then have this big bad who's like in the background, some weird, creepy, green, dark Sith Lord, who we all have seen that journey already, would definitely be a new element. Obviously, with Palpatine, we met him as the big bad Sith Lord, and then we went back. So flipping it that way is cool. The only issue I've got is I don't think Palpatine's ever seen this kid before, because if he was in the Jedi Temple before Order 66, then nobody knew Palpatine, who he was at that point. So I don't think it adds necessarily up
I would be okay if they did if they did another movie with Daisy Ridley and Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian. If this goes into the movies, he's got to follow with, because I think he needs to, wherever Baby Yoda goes in the story, the Mandalorian needs to be kind of not far behind. I'd be cool with seeing Baby Yoda as the antagonist of like a movie or a couple movies. I don't want him to have been trained by Palpatine, only because I'm fucking done with that old dude. I don't even want to. It would just be another connection to Palpatine, and I'm so sick of the connections to Palpatine.
You're saying that you don't want any more Sith clones, dark magic?
He's already connected to Palpatine because they are looking for him to get his metachlorians in order to successfully clone.
I still
Palpatine.
don't.
So he's already connected to Palpatine, and the clones,
I don't agree with
that. Snoke that we saw earlier, failed or not, but those clones of Snoke we saw a couple episodes ago, that's proof right there, and that they're already connected.
I still don't think they want him to clone Palpatine. I still don't think those were clones of Snoke. I think they were something different. They were close. They might be.
They were so smoky.
I still think those are them trying to give somebody without the Force the power of the Force. And it's doing something fucking weird. I know it's weird, but I'm not sold on it completely yet. I don't think these are Palpatine's guys. I think these are the beginning of the First Order. That lander that came down, I mean, that was a fucking First Order lander, pretty much.
Yeah,
that came down and
troop carriers,
yeah. I think
we're looks more updated and looks nicer, I should say, than
when I saw those things coming down. The first thing I thought of was the Force Awakens trailer. That's one of the first shots we had was the stormtroopers coming off of the carrier, and that was one of the coolest shots. So I see that connection.
I think we're seeing the beginning of the First Order, and as far as everything that's been explained in canon so far, the First Order was controlled by Palpatine via proxy of Snoke. The First Order was formed by the remnants of the Empire, and then Snoke showed up and was like, hey, what it do, what it be, I'm in charge now. And they were like, sure, whatever, you're a Force user, you can be in charge of us. So the way I kind of see it is the First Order was disconnected from Palpatine, and Palpatine just sent Snoke there to be like his kind of pawn, so that he wasn't directly controlling it, but he was kind of controlling it.
I think this was the plan. This was the contingency plan. If he were to ever die, it was already set up that they were going to clone him in order to bring him. I think this was all a part of the plan, and that was his way I think it was all a part of the plan, dude.
I think it's possible. I think it's possible. It's not out of the question. It's not the most insane thing I've ever heard. The most insane thing I've ever heard is that Rey would be related to Palpatine. But
kind of.
But just from everything I've absorbed of the canon, to me, the understanding is that Exegol and all of that existed way before anything that's happening now. Vader had a wayfinder to go there. So Exegol and the Sith Eternal were established when Vader was still alive. From the novelization of The Rise of Skywalker, it seems like Palpatine goes down the shaft, opens his eyes, and he is on Exegol in the clone body. So
that's what I'm saying. It was all a plan. It wasn't like he was killed and then a bunch of people were like, well, we need to figure out a way to get him back. Or it wasn't like they didn't know what was going on and then all of a sudden Snoke showed. I think like the higher ups, they knew that this was the plan. If Snoke were to die, or not Snoke, but Palpatine were to die, then this would end up happening, and that Snoke was a part of the plan, but they hadn't successfully figured out how to clone Palpatine, because they can clone him, but I think the issue is they don't know how to clone the Force. They can clone Palpatine physically, but they can't figure out how to clone the Force in him. So that's why there's so many failed versions of it and all this shit, and that's why there's all this experimentation of cloning with it all.
I think it's on the table. I don't think it's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I think it's definitely a possibility. Again, I'm kind of fucking done with Palpatine.
It would explain the scars on all the heads, because if they like trying to like mix and match and find like, oh, okay, we need this body with this blood and this brain, you know, Frankenforth.
I think we're gonna find out though.
You think we're gonna see Baby Yoda use a lightsaber?
I hope not, man.
They set it up. He tried to grab it. They set it up, and he says, "You're not ready for that yet," or something to that effect. It would, in my head, it would look absurd, but I don't know. I felt it seemed like they were setting that up.
Filoni might. Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was going to say the way that they kind of did that moment. It seemed like to line up with the way that they've set things up in the past, like with the ball. It just, I don't know. It's not what I would do. In my head, it looks ridiculous, but you know, there's a way. I mean, maybe Baby Yoda does the whole Kylo Ren calls the saber over and it cuts through Gideon.
Oh, that'd be fucking cool.
I think you guys are reading too much into it. I think it was nothing more than, again, Gideon is very familiar and has seen Baby Yoda use the Force in dark ways like that. I think just Gideon is aware of what's going on, knew that Palpatine was training him. But either way with that, I think Gideon just knows that he's been trained in the dark ways, but he wasn't yet to the point of a lightsaber. I think it was nothing more than taunting a kid. Like, hey, you want a piece of candy? I know you want a piece of candy.
I loved him. He was so good.
That was all it was. I don't think there was anything more to it.
He, the way that he's talking to, I need to get into the habit of using the name. The way he's talking to Grogu is like he's doing a better job of parenting him almost in those few moments than Mando's doing. It's like you're saying, Jay, he's obviously seems like he's got some pre-established bond with him. But then as soon as he knocks the kid out, he's like, shackle it. Like he just turned on it like that. He was like all warmth and smiley father figure, trying to like, you know, get what he wanted out of it, and they just like shackle it.
I don't know if that was warm and father figure. I saw that as fucking.
I just think he was
watching the shit out of him. Yeah,
like
I loved it.
Like we got you now. You know, we got you.
What the fuck?
I don't think he's actually a warm father figure. I think he was just pretending to keep, you know, to
maybe.
He needs to establish a connection with the kid to help train it, which is what we've set up with Mando. You need to have that connection.
I don't think they don't want to train him, though. I don't think. I'm still sticking with. I think they just want him in order to use his midichlorians to try to successfully clone Palpatine. I don't think that they want him for anything more than that.
But surely, the more you train him and the more powerful he gets, the better the sample you can get from him.
I'm not sure
that matters.
I don't think that's how midichlorian
levels are going to be the same, because Anakin had off the charts, had higher midichlorian levels than anyone, but he didn't really even know he had the Force. I mean, he knew there was something weird going on.
He was also Space Jesus.
He didn't know how to use the Force.
But if he's more in touch with the Force, then maybe, I don't know, it's like more potent in the blood, and maybe
that's not how I interpret.
I don't think so, but I'm just, you know,
maybe,
trying to like figure out what their plan is, because
it could be anything. Fuck.
I think we're gonna find out. I guess there's a couple more things I wanted to say about the episode. First of all, Moff Gus, holy fuck, so good, so good. I loved his performance in this episode. I can't wait for more. I can't
believe that I've got you calling him Moff Gus now. I don't even know if you realized it, but you called him Moff Gus.
I realized it when I was watching the episode the second time. I was like, yeah, go Moff Gus. I was like, fuck.
All right.
I almost cried when Mando picked up the ball from the ruins of the Razor Crest. And I also almost cried.
Was you not a bit taken aback that he found it so easily? Like, the whole shit was blown up, and he was just like, there it is.
In my head, he's been
too.
In my head, he's been looking for that thing for 20 minutes. Like, for the fucking Fennec Shan and Boba Fett have just been standing off in the background, like, okay.
Dude, let's go, man. It's a hole.
Yeah, dude.
That was sad, though. We didn't talk about that. That was fucked up that they blew up the Razor Crest.
I was just about to say that. I was fucking heartbroken. I was shocked. Do we get it back at the end of the season, or do we get a new ship? No?
I mean, I think that it's not the same ship, so I don't think there's an emotional attachment to that that specific model. I think it was just that ship. So, like, I mean, hell, if he can upgrade, I'm sure he'll upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be traveling around on the Slave One for the remainder of the season. You know, that'll be like their hub.
Maybe something happens and he ends up taking over Slave One. Boba passes it on, or something happens to Boba.
Oh, they're not going to kill Boba.
And Mando ends up taking Slave One.
They can't kill Boba because I need 8 episodes of Robert Rodriguez directing a Boba Fett.
Yeah, but how would that go? I would like Boba also, but real quick, man, how would that go over though with him? Me personally, I would rather see a young Boba in his prime.
Oh, I don't know,
because now I don't understand how a current Boba would even work, to be honest.
Here's my pitch for you, okay? Boba Fett, Fennec Shan, whoever you want to throw in, a team of bounty hunters, maybe throw in fucking Mayfield. We'll free him at the end of once he's done helping. He'll join the crew. Yeah. We get fucking Bill Burr in there. We just get a crew of like 3 or 4 Mandalorians, or not Mandalorians, bounty hunters, and he's back, dude. Boba Fett's back. The galaxy will fucking hear his name.
I could see that.
And he's got his posse with him. They're on Slave One, going around, fucking shit up. Yeah. 8 episodes. Robert
Rodriguez. A movie, apparently. Like, apparently there was a plan for.
Yeah, they were gonna do
like Josh a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Boba Fett and like a little crew, and we've not really had that. Like,
no,
you know,
I'm telling you, man. 8 episodes, every single one of them directed by Robert Rodriguez, like we're getting with Obi-Wan. That's all being done by Deborah Chow.
Wouldn't mind that. As much as I love Rodriguez, I know Mangold was attached to Boba Fett for a little while as well.
I know that as well.
And the way that we see Boba Fett in action in this movie was very Wolverine-like. The way that he's taking down stormtroopers.
I think you already had him do this episode. Fucking get him to do 8. I don't see why you don't. Or get him and Mangold to do 8. 4 and 4. I mean, you know, who knows? But I want to see that. I want to see that show. And again, before today, when I watched that episode, I was not a Boba Fett fan. Now I want 8 episodes of that shit. So they did a good job.
You while we were on Boba and Rick, what's her name? Jesus.
Fennec Shan.
Fennec, right. What did you feel about how, like, they've only just, I mean, she's met him once before. They don't really know him, you know, and they're just like, yeah, that's it. We're committed now.
I think he saved her life.
They've got their own code of honor, you know, so it's not necessarily Mandalorian, but and we don't know what those two have been through, but they just were like, yeah, we're gonna walk into hell with you now. Like,
I love that. Fuck. That's why I was so cool with this version of Boba Fett, because he wasn't just a badass stone cold killer. He had fucking standards. He has morals. He's like, hey, we made a deal. I'm gonna fucking help you, and I love that. He's a likable character.
Yeah, I think they jumped in bed with Mando a bit too easily, but I'm
okay with it. Yeah, I like.
I'm okay with it too.
I like, he's a man of his word. It makes him likable. Because that was always my worry about Boba Fett coming back, is that you'd work so hard to make him a badass stone cold killer that you'd be like, I don't fucking like this dick. You know, like he's
hard to keep him around because he'd just be out to backstab everyone. You wouldn't be able to get anywhere with a story.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to watch this dude. He's an asshole. So I really like that he's like, I gave you my word, and I'm gonna fucking keep my word. And I really like him. So I'm really excited. But we've been going for an hour and a half. We have 2 episodes left in the series, so we still got plenty of time to talk. But for now, I want to hear from both of you. Dean, first of all, I need to get from you, where would you rank last episode for this season?
Last episode, definitely below this one. I'd probably last episode probably like 3rd favorite.
So after the ice Planet episode, but before the first one?
I don't know, man. I mean, it was cool to see Ahsoka and stuff, but I don't have that attachment. I really like that Spider episode.
Yeah, because right now you've got your least favorite was the Bo-Katan episode, then it was the first episode, then the Ice Planet episode, and then your favorite was the Bo-Katan one, then it was Ice Planet, then it was fucking the first episode, and then it was your least favorite was the Siege.
Right. Yeah. So this one goes straight to the top.
Yeah. Okay.
And then last episode. Underneath the Siege. Well,
the
no,
Siege?
but I like
I
still like the Spider Planet more. The Spider Island, whatever. Sounds like a theme park. Yeah, I'd go. Yeah, put it underneath the Yeah, I prefer the spiders to Ahsoka Tano. I'm sorry, I do. I just really
okay.
That it was so much better directed, that episode.
Hey, fair enough.
And
All
before
right,
I've got one last thing before we move on, or before we wrap up, because there's one thing that really bugged the shit out of me about this episode. And it wasn't the episode, but it was the thumbnail. Right?
Yeah.
Because the thumbnail is Mando with Gina Carano. So when I'm going into the episode, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be like what we call like a filler side episode.
Yeah.
Then as soon as we start the episode, we're not on that planet. We're on Typhon. So straight away, based on the fact of I knew we were on Typhon and I knew that Gina Carano was in the episode, I put 2 and 2 together and I knew that they were going to get Baby Yoda at the end of the episode. I knew
as soon as it popped up with the tragedy, I went, "Oh no!" Because
I didn't see the name of the episode. I missed. I must have just. I probably looked away or whatever. But between the thumbnail and the first 5 seconds of the episode, I was like, okay, they're capturing the kid. I just knew, and I just thought of all the frames in that episode to use as a thumbnail, that was just the weirdest one.
I kind of liked it because it made me go into it thinking it was going to be a filler episode, and I was pleasantly surprised when it wasn't.
Yeah, that's fine, and that's cool. But also the whole Gina Carano thing, like, you didn't need to have her in the thumbnail. I mean, I'm not getting into that either side of that argument or whatever. But you know,
it was a little spoilery.
There was a lot of people on Twitter as well who I saw it a few times. People were like, "Oh, Gina Carano again." So. Yeah, it didn't need to be there. But anyway, that was it. I just wanted to get that off my chest.
No problem. Wade, where would you put this episode?
Number 1.
Okay.
Of not only this season, but of all the episodes from first 2 seasons, this is number 1.
All right. And I've got mine at number 1 as well. So, Dean, why don't you tell the people where they can find you?
Dean Lewis 2099 on Twitter and RealDL at Instagram. On Instagram.
Wade?
Y'all can find me on the Twitter at jwade1134. That is the letter J, WADE1134. I got some other shows going on in my bio, as well as check out the JCast Network. That is the JCast Network. On the YouTube and the Twitter. Follow both of those. Got a new Schmodown show coming up soon.
Yeah, boy.
Awesome. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Shawn_AFK. All the podcasts I do are in my bio. You guys can follow this show and others on the Merc with Movie Blog podcast. Features can be located on Anchor, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Radio Public, Breaker, Overcast, and some of them get uploaded on YouTube. SEN Afterlife has its own YouTube channel. You guys can also follow Merc with the Movie Blog on Twitter at MovieBlogMerc. This episode is every Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and we will see you guys next week.